Today is the day that the Battlebots premiere officially happens. But before we jump into week 1 of the Battlebots Championship season, we got part 6 of 8 of our Battlebots Preview Series. And today, we're talking all about the East Coast region. So more NHRL robots, more Battlebots favorites, and a couple of newcomers here. Stay tuned. We got 6 robots to talk about here at the Combot Collective.
Oh my God! Wow! This is the biggest flame we've ever seen.
Has preserved enough energy to get in the flip on Carbine. We're going to go all the way.
Oh my God! That's going to hurt.
Grab the milk, Jenny.
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everybody and welcome to yet another Battlebots 2022 World Championship 7 preview episode here at the Combot Collective. Bring everything you want to know about the 2022 Battlebots season. And yes, this is part 6 of 8. Today is the day of the Battlebots World Championship premiere. We already know our fight card. We got a main event of Minotaur and Tantrum, an opener of Ribot versus Witch Doctor. But we're not talking about any of those robots today. We're talking about the East Coast, which brings a very unique mix of machines from very strange robots with unproven abilities like Triton and Doomba to fan favorites such as Mammoth and Overhaul, and even a team formerly from England and Team Danby with Slammo. We're going to be talking about all of these robots and one more today, so we're not going to waste too much time here. I am your host, as always, Sterling Brown, aka Quarry300th, Battlebots subreddit moderator and former writer at Third Law Sports. Let's jump into this. We're almost at the Battlebots premiere, but now, let's talk robots. Here we go. We're going to be kicking off pretty strong here with a robot that I've just been dying to talk about, and apparently the team captain, Bradley Handstand, has been eager to hear about as well. We're discussing Triton, the horizontal spinner from both Virginia and Nevada, which is not ranked with Battlebots or the Combot Collective due to it being a new robot technically, but it is the spiritual successor of Deep Six, a fan favorite design from Team Overboard, and last year in 2021 it was ranked number 57 on the overall TCC rankings, and it had a very solid 3-3 year with victories over the likes of Huge, Pain Train, and even Shatter, a robot which has been making some waves lately. But unfortunately, due to the damaging ability of Deep Six, I mean, we saw it firsthand during Battlebots Champions. Even with the 80-pound weapon now and the reinforced arena floor, Deep Six left a gash in the arena floor during the second episode of Champions 1, which was visible during the rest of the season, even during the Golden Bolt tournament. And unfortunately, because of this, the robot was announced that it had to withdraw from Battlebots competitions from this point on, retiring from the Battlebox, but hopefully not retiring altogether. Maybe we'll see it one day in the Road Games Arena, or maybe somewhere in the East Coast if more heavyweight arenas that are built for full combat do open up. But yes, Triton is the spiritual successor for Deep Six, armed with a weapon of similar weight and of similar power. But perhaps for a better comparison in terms of weapon, we should look at the original signature horizontal spinner for Team Overboard, Depth Charge, who last year was ranked number 35 in NHRL's featherweight division and became a 2022 finalist. Probably the biggest glass cannon of sports, really well known for destroying the NHRL 30-pound arena in their March event. But going back to Deep Six for a moment, Deep Six and Team Overboard captain and founder Dustin Eswine will also be bowing out of the 2022 season, but this time only temporarily. Dustin Eswine is having maternal leave due to having twins. Congratulations to him earlier on at the end of 2022. He also missed the NHRL finals, so he's missed some big dates because of this, but parentship, it's a big deal. I'm super happy for him. All of us at TCC are. So because of this, we do have a new interim team captain for Team Overboard this year, and it is quite a good one. You want a veteran in front of your team, and we have one with this. Bradley Handstand, supporter of the Combot Collective and the man behind Team Think Tank, and robots such as VD6, Double Rainbow Party, and Ringmaster will now be taking the reins for this crew this year, and Team Overboard will return with a pit crew with people such as Steven Schaefer and Alex Watson present in the pits, working on Triton between the fights. But now let's get to the meat and potatoes here and talk about the robot itself. Triton was designed by Dustin Eswine, but will be built in Las Vegas by the remainder of the team, and they even used numerous parts from the 2021 Deep Six, which I guess was just left in Las Vegas. And of course, just like Deep Six, Triton's most notable feature is that weapon, and this time we have a signature asymmetrical anchor blade made out of AR-500 and of course weighing in at the full 80-pound weapon limit. The team also has a more traditional blade known as True North, which is going to be designed like a compass rose and is your more traditional tombstone style blade, though it is a bit thinner and I think a bit longer than the anchor blade. I might be incorrect with that, but a more traditional weapon there. And these weapons will be powered by 3 2028 Castle motors in a custom built gearbox system. Team Deep Six, Team Overboard, they never play around with their weaponry, and they seem to get better with maintaining it every year. The weapon on Deep Six, I don't think ever died at all, even during its 3 losses in the 2021 regular season and during Battlebots Champions. The robot looked great. It was usually the motors given out on it, but hopefully we won't see that here. Very unique motor configuration, drive configuration for Triton, being kind of pussycat, kind of Triton Tate style, with 1 wheel at the bottom, 1 wheel at the top. 4-wheel drive, even though it's built like a 2-wheel drive bot. But going back to the weapon here, Triton's weapon was built to prioritize torque and spin up time instead of just trying to hit 250 miles per hour as fast as possible, which was kind of the strategy with Deep Six. And we've also seen in pictures of this robot that is prepared with quite a few extra side configurations for unique situations, one of which being that we know Triton has a chain guard prepared for up front in future fights. Likely we'll see this robot fight another horizontal spinner later on in the year. They don't want to get chain sniped, so it'll be interesting to see which robot that ends up being. But this is a very skeletal design, you know, kind of like Ghost Raptor in 2021. Ghost Raptor in 2021 was a very beautiful robot, but we kind of saw how it ended up with that. I'm not going to say that Triton is going to get absolutely eviscerated. I think this is more of a solid robot than a machine like Ghost Raptor, but Triton will still probably be a glass cannon for 2022, and with a new captain like Bradley Hanstad, who was in the pit crew for Deep Six in 2021, he is familiar with the robot and the team, but I'm still a little bit worried. New captains can always go a little bit awry. We talked about it a little bit with Gigabyte when we were discussing that robot in part 1. Those new captains at Gigabyte, they are kind of an unknown. We really don't know what's going on with them, but Bradley Hanstad is known for captaining heavyweights in the past, like we talked about with Double Rainbow Party and VD6. So he does have some experience in that regard, even with horizontal spinners. But I mean, in the end of the day, Triton's a glass cannon, and it's as glass cannon as it gets. At least that's the expectation. We'd love to be wrong here at the Combot Collective, but we are expecting big hits from this deadly robot, and some big moments for sure. I am going to predict 1 and 3 though for this robot schedule this year. You know, it might take a couple of years of teething to get Triton to be, you know, a playoff level robot. We saw Deep Six have a very strong debut, 2-1 in 2019, but it didn't appear in the playoffs. Bit more of a 500 year in 2022, but the robot did show promise. If they can take the reliability of Deep Six's weapon, give it better reliability overall with the drive, the robot could go 2-2, maybe even 3-1. I'd love to see this robot go deep into the playoffs, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. I'm going to predict 1 and 3 for Triton. I am so excited for this robot's first fight though, seriously. But from a new robot, we go to a proven commodity and a robot we just talked about a little bit in our Nightmare TCC news video. We got Mammoth from Maryland here, a robot which is Battlebots ranked in the preseason number 32, which was a huge surprise to me because the Combot Collective has it ranked number 142, sitting in our bottom 10. I mean, it went an abysmal 1-5 in 2021. It won its first fight of the year by knockout against Hijinks, an impressive victory, but then lost 5 straight fights in a row, starting off with a pair of losses in the regular season, followed by a reserve appearance in the top 32 where it took over for Glitch, only to lose by Witch Doctor via knockout, and then lost again to Retrograding Champions, and once again to Rampage and Vengeance of Vegas. Not the most impressive robots to lose to, but still, despite all that, Battlebots impressed with this robot enough to give it a number 32 ranking in the Battlebots preseason rankings. So yeah, it's been a rough year for Mammoth, but the team, including the always charismatic NHRL commentator and captain of Team Mammoth, Ricky Williams, will be optimistic this year, as this will be his 8th event spent alongside Mammoth. He's really gaining some mileage with this robot design. Ricky Williams is back, but we do have some big changes in the pit crew though for Team Mammoth. Longtime members like Courtney Hollis and Matt Bailey do return to the roster, but with the debut of a second Maryland robot, a machine which we'll be getting to in just a minute, we do see the departure of Lou Negan and Bryce Farrell from the Team Mammoth roster. With the loss of these two team members, these guys are playing the Moneyball approach, as Team Mammoth has seriously reloaded their team by adding 7 new team members in all, and an 8th one if you include the dog. Joining Team Shreddit now, Team Mammoth has pit crews with puppers. I love to see more animals in the pits. We have a goat and 2 dogs this year. It's a whole zoo in the back. I love it. But now let's get to the robot visually. We don't really know too much about the changes of Mammoth. Only 3 social media posts since the end of the 2021 Battlebots season. The team usually pretty quiet online. This is fairly common for them. They like to keep the robot low-key and reserved, and you gotta do it when your robot's so big and hard to keep secret inside the pits. But let's talk about what we do know here. On the picture that we see here, visually it does seem like the motor boxes on the sides of Mammoth seem like they are much better enforced compared to prior seasons. This has always been a serious Achilles heel for the robots, even, sportsman events like Robot Ruckus. When a robot gets a good slam to the side of Mammoth, we'd see that wheel go down, that big robot spinning in circles. We saw it happen in 2019, 2020, and especially 2021 numerous times. Hopefully this change in the robot's build will make it a little bit better. But outside of that, like I said, little to no updates about Mammoth, and it seems to be much the same visually outside of some added sturdiness it looks like. It had an absurdly good 2020 and an awful 2021, so it makes predicting a record for Mammoth really tricky. But I think, Battlebots is only getting more stiff and more stiff with its competition every season. Took on some underwhelming robots in 2021, and we really don't have that many underwhelming machines in Mammoth's field this year for 2022, and especially not on its schedule. So with that, I have to say, I think it's going to have a 1-3 season this year. It's going to be another tough year for Mammoth. Hopefully that bad voodoo, that bad luck will not happen in Battlebots Champions or Vengeance in Vegas, or even at RoboGames. We know that Mammoth is currently a reserve in RoboGames right now on the whitelist under the name Bigfoot, so we could potentially see a lot of Ricky Willems and Mammoth all over the United States this year and all over our TV and YouTube, Twitch screens. That would be very exciting. So maybe with something like that, we can see Ricky Willems get more time behind the wheel of Mammoth, get more experience with the robots, get more used to the weapon, take on various different opponents, maybe get better handling of vertical spinners. That really seems to be the kryptonite of Mammoth, those big 4-wheel drive vertical spinners. Just look at the Hypershock fight. That was brutal for Mammoth. The Witch Doctor fight as well. Whenever Mammoth gets knocked over, that's it. They also got to get better against flippers. The Lucky fight was a bad matchup for it, and with machines like Hydra and Banshee, machines that has yet to fight yet, I would not be surprised if we see Mammoth get some flippers this year. There's a lot of weaknesses for Mammoth, but hopefully we can see a good year this year for Ricky Willems and the rest of Team Mammoth. But I don't think I'm going to predict it just yet. 1-3 year for me, but I am excited to see more Mammoth fights on our TV screens. But now we're not going to leave the state of Maryland just yet. It's time for our first pure Battlebots rookie in 3 videos. We've talked about a lot of new robots, but these robots have been from past competitions like Ripperoni or Starchild or Emulsifier. This robot has never appeared anywhere, and we're talking about Doomba, and this is a machine I am very excited about, and I hope we get to see on TV quite a bit this year. And like I mentioned with Team Mammoth, Bryce Farrell and Lou Negan have left the team to create a new second Maryland team. And this is it right here. Bryce Farrell is in fact the captain of Doomba and has created Team Hot Mess alongside Lou Negan. And they have gone on to create quite a solid roster of Roboteers and pit crew here, gathering 6 other members, including the likes of Liz Shavana, former Team Pride and Sporkanock member at Battlebots 2020, and even the captain of last year's Pardon My French, Philippe Voyer. It's always good to get captains on your roster. That is the best experience possible. They get put in the most crazy situations at Battlebots, so that's a really key piece to have in your roster right there, I think. And speaking of Philippe Voyer, perhaps we can see Big Dill versus Doomba fight later on this year. We know Big Dill has Gus Collier, and Doomba has Philippe Voyer. Maybe we can see the 2 former Pardon My French members battle. I would like to see that even in an exhibition, but now let's talk about this robot. It was mostly brushed off by all of us here at TCC during our applicant rundown video. I mean, nobody really just felt confident in this robot being more than a joke applicant, kinda the same way as Globetrotter was, but we said all that, and yet here we are talking about Doomba. We have the official picture right here. It appeared in supporter reveals. We've seen the team. It's at Battlebots, and it was at Las Vegas, and we're going to see it soon enough. But let's get to the details here. Doomba is very accurate to its theme, and not only its round Roomba-like shape, but also reportedly, just like this little machine right here, it is built completely on tracking AI. It is going to be ran on a iRobot Roomba control board from 2003. I hope they have a lot of spares because that sounds fairly fragile. And if all things work correctly, after so many attempts from robots like the 2016 applicant Honest Abe, Glitch with its tracking system in 2021, Chomp on numerous occasions, this may be the first fully autonomous robot in Battlebots history. I am so excited about that. But it is worth noting, if things do go awry, the team does have a manual override feature, so they can get in there with the sticks, Bryce Farrell potentially, and drive the robot like any traditional machine. I bet we will see that at least once this year, being a rookie design. But this is also not only the first robot in reboot history to be an AI machine, potentially, but it is also the first Battlebot in reboot history to be unironically armed with a chainsaw weapon up top. And this chainsaw can be replaced with an axe or spork attachment, so there is a little bit of modularity here. And this weapon also doubles as Doomba's Shreemech. It's always good to have a Shreemech. You gotta ask Team Plunderbird that one. But its primary weapon is not the chainsaw, spork, or axe, fortunately. Its primary weapon is, in fact, the undercutter on the front of Doomba, which might pack quite a punch. We don't know. It is recycled from the 2021 undercutter weapons from SME, which kind of puts the bot in the scale here. That undercutter takes up almost the entire front of Doomba, and that undercutter was tiny on SME, so this robot, potentially the most compact machine this year at BattleBots, we'll just have to see. And speaking of compact, it would make sense because Doomba is quite a sturdy little robot. It has a frame custom made out of 1/4 inch AR500 steel and white paneling, of course, made out of 1-inch thick UHMW, so good luck to any deadly horizontal spinner or even crusher trying to get inside of this robot. But this is the sad part here. It is questionable on if it is going to be competing in the 2022 main season. Now, I love all the trinkets and gimmicks with this robot. It really does have, like Greg Munson mentioned on the Behind the Bots podcast, big, rusty aesthetic and theming with its design. It has the warning tape, which of course, as a Robot Wars fan, I am such a sucker for anything that has warning caution tape on it. But at the end of the day, it is still a joke bot. It's got a damn chainsaw on top of it. I mean, what do you expect from this machine? Googly eyes, a goofy little undercutter, which was recycled from a different robot. Likely 2 small wheels under the base, which may not get too much traction if the robot gets damaged or if the floor gets damaged. So because of that, if it does compete in the 2022 BattleBots Championship season, if it doesn't end up being an alternate, or it does get into the main field, I gotta predict the 0-4 season for the robots. I mean, just like Rusty, it's just going to be outclassed against so many machines. I mean, if I'm talking about Mammoth, a robot which has placed top 8 before at BattleBots, being a machine that we're going to see get outclassed this year, then a rookie that is here for laughs and fun is definitely going to have some trouble. I mean, what are we going to see this machine face? I think Horizon could beat it. I think Mammoth could beat it. Maybe you could catch the chainsaw and throw it forward. I think any vertical spinner and other horizontal spinner could beat it, like Valkyrie, a different undercutter. Being compact isn't always a benefit to it. I would love to see Doomba come back maybe in 2023 as a wider robot, maybe in a full body spinner shape with the undercutter. But I gotta say, I do love the fact that it is going to be AI driven, hopefully. That would be absolutely fantastic to see with the Roomba control board. But that is another reason why we probably shouldn't expect much out of the robot. This machine could very well easily just be going vroom, you know, all the way over here while a different kind of move that spooked me, while, you know, a different machine's trying to come at it and it is just completely oblivious, taking an impact like that. That would suck for Doomba. It could take some damage and not even be able to reel it in. Even with the manual override feature, we'll have to see how ready they are to use that. But yeah, I am going to have to say 0-4 for me with Doomba. It is a bit disappointing, but it is a joke by the end of the day. And I feel like a broken record because I am so excited for all these robots to see in action. But especially with Doomba here, these 2 new robots in this video, Doomba and Triton, I'm so stoked to see them fight. And I would even love to see them fight each other. But now, let's get to the second half of the video as we ended with a few veterans here. And talking about veterans, let's go to one robot that has been around since 2015 in Overhaul. And yes, here we go, Georgia's own Overhaul, captained by Charles Guan. This is a machine expectedly not ranked by Battlebots and ranked number 117 with the Combot Collective. And that is because of an abysmal past few years with Overhaul. It went 0-3 in 2016, 0-4 in 2018, but took a tiny step forward in 2021 and 2022, going 2-3 with its wins coming in exhibitions against Big Dill and Deferred Maintenance. Like I mentioned, it is going to be captained once again by the original MIT Battlebots captain Charles Guan, who made the top 8 with Overhaul in 2015, but has yet to reach that high once again. But hey, Charles is reportedly happy with Overhaul as long as the matches are funny and enjoyable, and he certainly put together some fun matches last year with the Control Bot Nation matchup against Black Dragon, and of course the amazing chair fight against Big Dill. And it looks like we might see a sword fighting against Scorpius this year. Team Scorpius did gift Overhaul some samurai swords, so we'll have to see how it plays out. I would love to see that at a potential Vengeance in Vegas too. But yes, Charles Guan, now living in Georgia at the helm for the team, but the rest of the Equal Zero Designs pit crew has undergone some shifts. Guys like Scott Sharega and Kristen Zimmerman do return for their sophomore season, but we also see some brand new members such as Neil Sharaga and Cassandra Newcomer. Funny enough name right there. But that's what we know about the pit crew. Not much to discuss about the robot because according to Charles Guan himself, I can't believe this is insane. He himself said this. Overhaul has made 0 upgrades in prep for this competition, but that could then again just be Charles Guan being Charles Guan, the iconic shit poster he is, as it does seem like there are some visible changes on the lifting system. It looks like those bottom lifting forks on Overhaul, as we see in the picture here, have taken some changes from 2021. 2021, it was layered armor for the forks at the bottom. But now, after some serious punishment from robots like Blip, and especially Ribbot, maybe Charles Guan said, oh, maybe that's perhaps not the best idea. Let's go back to keeping it simple, stupid with this fork configuration, as it definitely seems like this is a lot more simple, less layers to get bent up and damaged here. But while we don't have too many upgrades at all for Overhaul to talk about, we do have a unique X Factor. Charles Guan is coming off an event win at Robotica 2022's 250-pound event. One where Sadbot, now known as Deferred Maintenance, would pull up the shock first place victory, going 6-1 I believe against robots like Slammo and Avalanche. So with an event like that, it is always good to be coming into Battlebots with a heavyweight victory, something we're going to be talking about later on in a future video with Gruff. But that was with a different machine. I'm surprised that Deferred Maintenance did get number 1 at Robotica given the field of machines, but it did with the unique lifter system, and later on in an exhibition fight at that event, like we mentioned, Overhaul would beat Deferred Maintenance. So Overhaul has technically beat an event champion heading into this Battlebots 2022 championship, even if it was its own robots. Despite all of that momentum, the positive mindset for Charles Guan here, and a great pit crew, just like Doomba. And we do know Overhaul is going to be in the main field. It's not a question like Doomba. We do know that this is not alternate. I do predict Overhaul is going to be going 0-4. I have seen the schedule. They never really do throw Overhaul a bone, but the machine will be having pretty tough opponents. There is one robot I am quite excited to see it face in round 3. It's always tough opponents for Charles, but I'm sure he's fine with it. He loves making TV and he loves putting together fantastic fights. I really do think that the big issue though for Overhaul here is it's going to be its ground clearance. It's good to have high ground clearance, and it's good to be slippery against some robots. You know, keep yourself off of the low ground, avoiding issues like, you know, scraping the floor, getting caught on certain parts of the arena later on in the season. But in this instance, I feel like it might bite Overhaul in the ass once again. A lot of robots, especially Blip, were able to get under Overhaul easily in 2021, and I think it's going to be the case once again in 2022. We may see wheels get ripped off. We may see Overhaul's weapon lifter system get bent in, even after these upgrades that they have potentially made. We'll have to see how it goes, but for me, I am going to predict 0-4 for Overhaul here. And now we go from the original Battlebots control bot, at least in the reboot era, to probably my favorite control bot entering Battlebots 2022. From North Carolina, by way of England, of course, we have Team Danby's Slammo coming for its 3rd straight season here. This robot not ranked with Battlebots this year after a strong 2020 season, but a very sad 2021 season. It is, though, ranked number 134 in the TCC overall rankings, 91 spots lower than number 43 Slammo, the original version from Battlebots 2020, who went top 3 at Robot Ruckus 2021, showing that machine still got it. Slammo 2.0, meanwhile, was just not as fortunate. It had a devastating 0-2 regular season with a pair of knockout losses and a shockingly impressive loss versus Malice at Battlebots Champions, putting it at 0-3 overall during this year at Battlebots. And then after a gap of inactivity, we would see Slammo return at Robotica, looking a bit more like how it does for Battlebots 2022, and it bounced back decently enough, putting together a 4-2 record. Not enough, though, to get Slammo out of the 100s in our rankings, though, sadly. Now, talking about the team, Team Danby, just like it was in 2021, 2018, 2015, 2008, and even 1998, will be captained by the underdog legend of Craig Danby, former captain of robots such as Foxic, Predator, Deadline, Tanto, TX-108, Hyena, among many, many other Antweight, Featherweight, Fairyweight, Lightweight, Heavyweight machines. Right. And you can tell it's all about the big dog here, as it's solely Craig in the team photos, but we do know that this team does also consist of former Bombshell pit crew members like Randy Farmer, Mark Harrison, and Jason Brown, along with Craig Danby's wife Corinne Danby and his brother Chris Danby, who I don't believe is present at the event, but does work on the robot separately in the UK. And now on to the robots. We know that there have been 3 Slammos brought to Battlebots 2022 from Team Danby. And as you know, with this team, I believe Chris Rose said something like over 1 million configurations for this robot potentially. But these changes visually, from 2021 to 2022 have been big for Slammo. Like we mentioned, Robotica, it seemed like the robot ditched all the glitz and glam from 2021 to make this machine all business. There's no more dazzled 3D paint job. And you can tell this is business because look at this blue armor up front. This is apparently shock-mounted specialized paneling to help with the big impacts, something which should definitely help Slammo out in 2022. After taking knockout losses to machines like Switchback last year, an unproven rookie, they definitely need better armor. That was super disappointing. But we're also seeing the weapon get upgraded alongside the armor, as Slammo is now reportedly 6 times more powerful with this weapon, something it'll definitely need after having those serious weapon problems during the 2 events it appeared in, Battlebots 2021 and Robotica. In both those events, we saw Slammo have serious weapon issues. In fact, at Robotica, the lifter only worked for 1 fight during those 6 matches it had. Overall, we saw Slammo fight in 4 different events last year. Slammo 1.0 at Robot Ruckus, Slammo 2.0 at Battlebots Champions, the Battlebots World Championship, and Robotica, and we're now expecting Slammo to have just as big of a schedule for 2022 and 2023 ahead of it, even outside of Battlebots. Of course, even despite the alternate rumors, I'm expecting to see Slammo inside the Battlebots World Championship and certainly at Battlebots Champions. But we also know that the Serious Suplex machine is signed up for RoboGames 2023 in April, and will also be at Extreme Robots events this year with Chris Danby behind the wheel at those events. Going to be very interesting to see where Slammo and likely Apex land in terms of Extreme Robots teams. I think Team Divinity and Team Quake could really use that robot, but we also know there is going to be a 4-team at Extreme Robots this year. Maybe we can see Team Slammo take over that spot as Captain Robot? We'll have to see. But talking about Battlebots here, like I said, it may be an alternate for 2022. I certainly hope not, and I don't think it will be. I think Slammo and Team Danby have certainly proven themselves as a team. But if they do show up and they are in the main field, I think they are going to impress. I predict a 2-2 year for Slammo. I think that this shock mounted armor up front is going to work out well. It proved itself very much at Robotica this year against machines that hit hard and ram hard like Mad Catter and Avalanche. Looked pretty good there. Will it do the same here against big time spinners? We don't know if it's going to be facing vertical spinners, horizontal spinners, other control bots, but if it does, I think if it gets the right schedule, we will see you going 2-2. Craig Danby is a very underrated driver, and I think he can show up here. I am going to say 2-2. I'm excited for Craig Danby this year. I'm excited to see Slammo at a lot of events, so expect this robot to be discussed a lot here at TCC during our RoboGames live stream, during Battlebots videos, and during Extreme Robots videos. I'm super excited for it. But here we go. Let's talk about Shreddit, bro. Last but not least, here coming from New York, New York. This is technically a Battlebots rookie/newcomer, so it is not ranked, of course. But this is a direct sequel to Pain Train, a robot which was ranked near the very bottom of our TCC overall rankings in 2021. Number 147 out of 148, only above Lockjaw after an abysmal 0-4 year. This will be a clean reset for Team Shreddit captain Evan Arias, who announced the 250-pound version of Shreddit Bro during the 2022 NHRL July event, saying that Pain Trade would now be in the past. The robot was loved, but it just was not working, and that this brand new Shreddit Bro design would in fact be the future. And if you've watched NHRL events, you would know all about Team Shreddit, a true force of vertical spinner power across numerous small bots events across in the Midwest and the East Coast, competing at, like I said, NHRL, but also MRCA and NERC, with the team having quite a present at the December NHRL finals just a month ago. We have a lot of stake in Shreddit Bro here this year at the Combot Collective, and that's not only because we're sponsored by Robots Ruin My Life, but alongside team captain Evan Arias, the pit crew members they bring to Battlebots 2022 include friends of the Combot Collective, guys that we have had appear here at After the Havoc before in the past, guys like Angel Vidal, Alex Pezza, and behind the bots Luke Stengel, among other live event veterans like Brandon Unger, who was a pit crew member for Smee last season. So of course, with all this NHRL and live event history, this will be a 100% new rebuild and an upscaling of the team's very well known beetleweight of the same name, one which is currently ranked number 22 in NHRL's beetleweight division and is a 2021 finalist, but did fail to qualify for the 2022 finals despite barely missing any events this year. Shreddit Bro just sadly failed to win all the clutch fights it really needed to this year, but hopefully that wasn't the case this year for the 250-pound version of the robot, who only has a few true differences from its 3-pound counterpart, and the main one obviously being that this robot is in fact 4-wheel drive, which is the meta for the 250-pound drum bot, of course. And another difference is that Shreddit Bro 250-pound is not armed with wheel guards like its smaller and older brother, but instead is armed with specially designed blue custom-made wheels which look very similar to the iconic Brazilian wheels we see many robots like Copperhead, Black Dragon, and Whiplash use. So those blue wheels may be a big benefit to Shreddit Bro, but that spinning drum may also be of big benefit. It is a tad bit different from the original 3-pound robot's iconic egg beater, but this traditional run will be powered by new motors and is a bit more barrel style like, traditional drum bots such as Minotaur. I definitely still expect it to be good, but besides from that, nothing else is known about this robot internally other than what we can see visually and from the media that we've had shared so far. And with all that, I'm going to predict a respectable teething year here for Shreddit Bro, going 2-2, but we could easily see this robot go 3-1, maybe even 4-0 for this year. But it is worth noting, last year during our 2021 Battlebots preview, we really hyped up Pain Train to be the big robot, the big breakout machine for 2021. The design was really a lot more like Shreddit Bro than this current design, but the machine just didn't play out the way we were expecting. Held its own in some fights, sure. It held its own against Shatter, held its own against Deep Six, held its own against Yeti, but ultimately would always take an absolute ass beating in the process. We get destroyed by Yeti and Deep Six, in fact, so we're definitely looking at a lot more of a compact Shreddit Bro to take over for Pain Train this year. And that's certainly visible with the picture that we have right here. Shreddit Bro might be rivaling the likes of Doomba, Minotaur, and Tantrum as the most compact robot this year. In the team photo, it looks absolutely tiny, which means it should be able to survive some serious impacts. And with what looks to be UHMW armor for the robot, should be able to take some serious weapon strikes, even ripping and tearing weapon strikes from horizontal spinners, full body spinners, undercutters, and the like. Despite all that though, I do predict a 2-2 year for it, but this robot really could go anywhere from 1-3 to 4-0. And I know that's a wide spectrum, but I really do think this machine has promise. But we said it about Pain Train last year, so I am a little bit anxious. So I am going to sit somewhere in the middle at 2-2, but I am very, very excited about Shreddit Bro. I feel like I've said about every single robot in this video. Like I said, it is a very exciting region of robots with a lot of question marks, but This is going to be the last of our NHRL robots, which have been moved up to the 250-pound class, and probably the one with the most hype potentially. We're going to have to see how this perky little drum bot does. Oh, and there we go. Another video down, 6 robots up, 6 robots down here in this Eastern region preview. We've talked all about NHRL machines now, from Emulsifier to Ripperoni to Star Child to the very last upgraded 250-pound robot here with Shreddit, bro. I think all these machines are going to turn some heads and impress, upgrading now to this heavyweight division. But we also have some fan favorites and future fan favorites in these Marylanders like Mammoth and Doomba. I'm sure these machines are going to take the hearts of many fans this year. But we also have some control bots like Slammo and Overhaul, which hopefully will show that GraviBot Nation does in fact still have some stake in the world of BattleBots. That's going to do it for us here at the Combot Collective. We've talked and rambled enough here about these 6 Eastern region robots. The next time we come to you guys, we will have seen the first Battlebots episode, and we will talk about the Florida region robots. We will talk about Witch Doctor. We will discuss a little bit about that first fight it had against Ribot, along with these other Florida region robots. We know that Gruff also in this episode. We will talk about it. We will talk about some other machines, and then we will cap this off with the 9 robot overseas region video. Hopefully we can get all those out before the BattleBot season gets too deep. It's a bit lame to do a BattleBots preview while the BattleBot season is already going on, but I digress. Stay tuned for more videos here. We got more BattleBots previews, of course. We got the BattleBots predictions and rundown videos coming in the near future. We also got more BattleBots news. There have been big Destructathon developments shared by Greg Munson on the Green Square podcast, on the Outside the Bot podcast, along with other areas as well. So we got to talk about that. But that's enough from me. I'm your host, as always, Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG. If you like what you're seeing here at the Combot Collective, please give this video a like. Please give us a comment to tell us what you think about these 6 Eastern region robots. And please subscribe to the Combot Collective. And of course, we also have a Discord channel with numerous Roboteers present in there, and that is where all of our YouTube video and news uploads go out first. So definitely check out there and join our Discord channel, and also follow our Facebook and Instagram. All those links will be in the description below. But I'm gonna get out of here. This has been a long recording session, and I am quite tired. This has been Sterling Brown here with the Combot Collective with the Eastern Region Battlebots preview. We'll see you next time with our Battlebots Episode 1 rundown and the Florida Region preview. Catch you around.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.